What do you mean Phil Hawes? I didn't even know it was empty. Welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the number one DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I am your host, Monk, aka The Monkmatician, and in this very episode, we're going to be breaking down all 13 fights at UFC Vegas 47, headlined by Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland. From a DraftKings perspective, I'll give you all the DraftKings stats that you need to build those lineups and get those takedowns this weekend. So without further ado, let's get right into it, guys. First fight of the night, Malcolm Gordon going against Dennis Bondar, or Denis Bondar, depending on how you feel like saying it. This one's going to be in the flyweight division. Gordon is an inch taller, and I have no idea what the reach is for Bondar, who is also about 2 years younger than Gordon. Let's see. Gordon coming in with a terrible chin dex, one of the worst chins on the entire card, and that's saying something for this card because there are some very chinny fighters on this card. Gordon, $7,100 salary here. Just make sure my cursor's on the screen. What do you get for $7,100? He is 1-2 in the UFC, only scores 2.8 DraftKings points per minute, only 80 per win, and he only has one win, so he scored 80 points when he won. He does give up 3.4 raw DraftKings points per minute for a differential of negative 0.6. He is $200 cheaper than his average salary, but the average value here is less than 4. No bueno. He does give up a ton of points when he loses, so keep that in mind if you're on the Bondar side. 118 points per loss in his 2 losses. So he is getting beat pretty bad when he does lose. Bondar, no UFC fights. He did not come from Dana White Contender Series, so I have no idea what this guy can do stats-wise, except for the strength of schedule, so we will get down there eventually. $9,100 is his salary, so, I mean, you're paying upper echelon price for a guy that has no UFC experience, no Dana White Contender Series experience, so just keep that in mind. Here are some probabilities to make the optimal. The weight class does not make the optimal it's less than 50% of the time, actually, 48. First fight of the night, doesn't do so well. Winning, $7,100 salary, only wins 25% of the time. So I will not have a ton of Malcolm Gordon here. Denny, on the other hand, I will have a bit of him just because I think he's going to get this done pretty early. But I'm not going to go crazy with my exposure here. Gordon, when he got knocked out, gave up 129, and when he got subbed, he gave up 107. So once again, high scores when he loses. Has never put up over 90 points, and he's given up over 100, obviously, in both, and over 110 in one fight. He does outscore his opponents, but that 1.51 striking DraftKings points per minute is not very high. 13th on the card. No knockdowns. He's okay on takedowns and control time, actually. Pretty good numbers there. But that 0.49 opponent knockdown per minute, that is really bad. He's got a bad chin, as we've said. So if he can avoid, getting rocked and put on the ground and subbed, which I think is what's going to happen, he could have a decent fight here. But I think the longer this goes, the more it leans towards decision, and then neither guy scores very well in DraftKings. That's kind of my idea here. Grappling points, Gordon doesn't do much, gives up so many bonus points that it's off the freaking chart. I don't even know what this number is. Actually, I do. 102.5. So it is off the chart in bonus points. I mean, so he's getting rocked, and rocked early, it looks like. Relevant fight stats. These rankings here are just kind of, they're not set in stone. They're just kind of for me, while I'm rambling about fights to get an idea of where guys sit on the card. So even if these aren't 100% accurate, Malcolm Gordon, one of the worst plays on the card statistically, and that is with 3 fights. So it's not like he has 0 fights to go off of. He's getting out-grappled. Actually, he's not getting outstruck. He gets hit with just as many shots as he lands. So none of these numbers looking too great. They are all green, but that's, like I said, because Bondar has no stats. Excuse me. Strength of schedule. Malcolm Gordon, this is the one thing he has going for him. 70 to 75 is where you want to see these numbers. We are above 75 in 2 of these categories, so he's got a tough strength of schedule. Bondar, on the other side, right about what you would expect for a guy that has no UFC fights, sitting about mid to upper 50s there. So not a great strength of schedule, but not the worst on the card, as you will come to find out. Gordon did beat Figgy Jr., but, Figgy Jr., let's not get crazy about anything here. First round loss to Sumadarji and Amir Albazi. So yeah, he got smoked in his 2 UFC losses. He is trending up, but well below his opponents, who are also trending up as far as DraftKings points per minute go. It's kind of just a graph over the last 5 fights. And then projections. So whatever you think is going to happen in this fight, here's how I think it will score. Pretty low scores for Malcolm Gordon. Denny, this is just basically the average for the weight class, and then kind of smushed with what Gordon's output usually is. So these are going to be kind of all over the place and not exact for Denny Bondar. Visual recap and aggregate finish percentages. No stats for Bondar, so we can skip that, although we do see a giant chunk of Gordon's graph is taken out here because he has no finish wins. And then, will this fight go the distance? I think it will not. Gordon finishes his fights 83% of his wins, 75% of the time he loses, it's a finish, and 100% in the UFC. So I am leaning Denny Bondar by submission pretty early. But like I said, I won't have a ton just because it's the flyweight fight, first fight of the night. You know, there's a chance, of course, he could make the optimal with that, but I'm going to have to see it from Denny before I put a ton of exposure on him. So I'm going to keep it pretty tempered there. Next fight of the night, Danilo Marques going against Yelton Almeida. Malhadinho. Light heavyweight fight. This is Almeida's first fight in the UFC. This says 1-0. It's because I cracked, guys. I broke down. I put Dana White Contender Series stats in. I know. I'm replacing them as soon as this fight gets over. I don't keep them. But in order to have some stats and to help out all my calculations, I did put it in there. So he did have one Dana White Contender Series fight. Finished in the second round, blah, blah, blah. $6,800 for Danilo Marques. He scores pretty well per minute. 3.5 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is 5th on the card. Only gives up 1.17 points per minute. That is 1st on the card for a differential of 2.33. That's fantastic. He's coming in, wow, he's coming in $750 lower than his average salary, and his average value is the second highest, guys, 9.84 on the card. That is pretty incredible. I did not see that coming from Danilo Marques. Got a decent ceiling at 120 and a very good floor. Interesting. Marques might be a good little cash play here if you don't think much of Almeida, or if you just want to fade DWCS guys, which I completely understand. Almeida on the other side, the highest salaried fighter on the card. If DraftKings existed for Dana White Contender Series, here would be his numbers. So these aren't real. These are just from stats from the DWCS. So he would have outscored his opponent. He would have scored 94 points in his win. A decent little floor, but no losses, so never mind. So yeah, just, you know, kind of average numbers there. Nothing to go crazy about with the 94 points in his win. But the probability to make the optimal, I do like a lot. The weight class makes it at 51% of the time. Second fight of the night makes it 55% of the time. The $9,400 salary wins 3 out of 4 times it's played. I like the odds here. This is going to be, I'm going to have a lot of Almeida here. I know he's the high salary, but I actually like a lot of the guys lower salaried as well, so I can even that out a little bit. I will obviously have a cap, probably play like 30-40%, somewhere around there, just because he's such a high salary. But I'm also going to throw some Marques in there, absolutely, because if Almeida can't get this done, I mean, Marques is a good scorer. He's putting up 120 in a sub win, 70 in a decision win, which isn't terrible, not great though. He's put up 110 points in one of his 2 wins. He's never allowed 90. The guy can score, and he has good defense. He is the #1 control time DraftKings points per minute on the card, and the 3rd least amount given up. So he is, I know that was a confusing way to say that, but he's out there controlling guys, taking guys down, and not getting taken down himself. And he's given up less than 1 point per minute striking. So he's got some defense here, I think. We'll have to see how this one goes. But I'm definitely going to have some Marques in my rosters here. So yeah, I don't think he's the best overall fighter on the card. So something's going on with the stats behind the scenes here. But yeah, I mean, he's no joke. His defense is definitely showing through. I mean, percent of grappling time controlled, 93.5%. I mean, offensive grappling time, 1st on the card. time fought at distance, least on the card. His strength of schedule really gets him, though. Under 50 for opponent win percentage and strength of victory. His strength of defeat is good. Strength of schedule is trash. Now, Almeida, on the other side, coming in as the higher strength of schedule guy with no UFC fights. So that is very interesting there. So he's fighting some okay competition outside, or before he got to the UFC. Marques with losses to Njokuani, wins over Rodriguez and Ibrahimov. So those stats might be a little bit padded there, but I will have some of Marques, that is for sure. He's way above his opponent's DraftKings points per minute and trending up still. Fantastic. Here are my projections. Almeida's projections. 51, that's, yes, I don't know. That's he's not going to go to decision. If this gets to decision, it's going to be Marques, I'm pretty sure. So these graphs are kind of meaningless with the Dana White Contender Series fight, but we have Almeida with a huge real estate here. And I do think this one, yeah, I do have this one finishing inside the distance. I do think Almeida gets it done, but these stats are showing me that I should roster Marques or should have him rostered a few percent at least. Those defensive and offensive numbers, especially the control time stuff, is looking too good to pass up. Anyways, I will quit rambling and try to keep this moving. Alexis Davis going against Julia Stoliarenko. Stoliarenko is 0-3 in the UFC. If she loses this one, I'm sure she won't get another chance for a while. Davis coming in $8,700. She is 37 years old, but let's see what we get for that $8,700. She scores 3.35 raw DraftKings points per minute, 7th best on the card, has a differential of almost a half a point per minute. She is coming in very expensive, $900 more than her average salary. She has a decent value of just under 8, though. Does not score well generally when she wins, 83 points. I'm sure that's a lot of decision wins there. Gives up less than 80 when she loses, so no one's really scoring in Alexis Davis fights. She has a very low ceiling and a decent floor. Could be better, though. Stoliarenko, let's see what we get here. $7,500. She is $300 more than her average, which already screams red flag for an 0-3 fighter. Has the worst average value on the card. Has a negative 2.26 RDKP per minute differential. She's only scoring 1.5 and getting almost 4 points scored on her. She doesn't give up a ton of points, only 91 when she loses. But it is not looking good for Miss Stoliarenko. The weight class doesn't do well for the optimal, under 50%. Under 50% for the third fight. $7,500 salary, wins 31% of the time. But my fight odds say this is Alexis Davis all day. I will be rostering Davis in cash. Some of my cash lineups will have Davis in there. I'm probably not playing Stoliarenko at all. There's just nothing promising. Even if she wins, what are my numbers even showing me here? That she's not going to score more than 80 points. So I don't want her on, maybe in cash, but if that's the case, just take Davis in cash, because this is going to decision, and you should score, you could score 40, 50 points even if she loses. So anyways, let me stop vamping there. Alexis Davis, 91 points when she subs, so that is a very low number. Only gives up 87 when she gets sub, though. 81 in her decision. See, this is what I mean. She scores pretty well when she wins by decision, which is what I'm expecting here. So even if this doesn't go to decision, I'm thinking that she still scores okay for cash. She's scored over 90 in 3 of 7 fights, 3 of 7 wins, never over 100, and she has given up over 110 just once. And in fact, she's given up 90 only once. So one fight she got kind of blown out of the water. She's outstriking her opponents, or outpointing her opponents in striking per minute, control time. Stoliarenko is getting, worked over in the striking. 1.17 per minute to 2.56 allowed. That is crazy. Alexis Davis, pretty even keel here. Not really much of a finisher, as we said. And she's got that one fight where she got smoked that's making this column even, over 50. Stoliarenko not really getting finished. She got finished once, but other than that, they have been decision losses. And then relevant fight stats, you can kind of take a look at this. Stoliarenko getting smashed pretty much everywhere except her takedown defense. Other than that, it's not even close. Strength of schedule, again, not close. Pretty bad for Julia. Very good for Alexis Davis. Over 74 in 3 of 4 categories and a 72 strength of schedule. Very, very good for Alexis Davis. She's not out here fighting scrubs for her whole career. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect that anyways. She's been in the UFC for 13 fights. Her record, however, in the UFC in her last 5 is 1-4 with a win over Sabina Mazo. Losses to Kianzad, Arajau, Maya, and Chukagian. So, I mean, these are all ranked fighters. I think, is Kianzad ranked now? I don't know. She's 2-1 in her last 3, I'm pretty sure. Vivian is no joke. Maya, I mean, she's ranked. Just lost to Chukagian, but I mean, she's a tough girl. Stoliarenko losing to Avila, Kuniskaya, and Leah Letson. So not looking very good for her. I mean, look at this graph. Stoliarenko's opponents way above her and trending up at a steeper rate. Then Alexis Davis way above her opponents here on average and continues to trend up, which you do like to see. Here are my projections. I'm thinking it is going to be a decision win for Alexis Davis. Like I said, I will be rostering her in cash. Probably not a ton in GPP. I'm probably going to play a bunch of, some 20 maxes this week. So I'm going to keep my lineups low, in which case I will have very little of Davis and 0 Stoliarenko. Even if she wins, unless she wins by like a first round, whatever, which hasn't happened in at least the last 5 fights for Alexis Davis. I could look at her Fightology trademark, but I'm not going to right now. So she hasn't been finished in a while. I just don't see this one finishing. So even if Stoliarenko wins, I don't think she's going to put up a ton of points. Next fight, Jason Witt going against Philip Rowe. Talk about chinny fighters. Check this shit out. Welterweight fight, Chindex for Jason Witt, 2.78. The higher the number for Chindex, the worse it is. You want that to be 0. This is a very, very, very high number. 16th, that's all the fighters that are ranked on this card. So he is dead last in chin. Look who's right behind him at 2.17, Philip Rowe. Somebody's getting knocked the fuck out in this fight, guys. Someone is getting knocked out. I mean, power index is crazy for Jason Witt, and his chin is almost double, 1.5 times. And the power index is pretty good for Philip Rowe, too. Over 1, I mean, that's no joke. So, 7,800 for Witt. I am going to be on more of the Jason Witt side due to salary. And the fact Computer Monk is picking Jason Witt to win outright, probably by knockout. So, I'll be more on Witt than Rowe here. But you have to have both guys rostered because you don't know whose face is going to get smashed in the first round. But somebody's chin is going night. I mean, look at this. Jason Witt averages the highest raw DraftKings points per minute at 5 per minute. My God, 106.86 DKP per win. Fantastic. He's coming in right over his average salary, just $175 more. He has a decent value of 7. Huge raw DraftKings points differential. Decent ceiling, terrible floor. This guy has GPP written all over him. All over him. Fight order, what fight is this for? 60% chance of making the optimal lineup. The salary of $7,800 only wins 46% of the time. But if you look over here, the $8,400 salary for Philip Rowe only wins 48% of the time. So Philip Rowe is $600 more than his average. He has a pretty good value of 9.52 in his 2 UFC fights, getting dominated, or he has a huge negative raw DraftKings points differential. Negative 1.37, scores, 100 points in his win, gave up 105 when he lost, has a decent floor. So you might be able to play Philip Rowe for cash if it wasn't for that freaking chin. I mean, my goodness. I really like this one to finish early. If it doesn't, I have no idea what's going to happen, but I'm definitely rostering both of these guys. I mean, over 100 points in a split decision win for Jason Witt. That must have been, Brian Barberena. Think. Yeah. Sorry for scrolling all over the place. Where are we at here? DraftKings scoring per minute. I mean, these guys giving up a ton of points and scoring a ton of points in their wins and losses. Jason Witt has the top takedown DraftKings points per minute at 2.15 is Jason Witt. He has the second highest control time scoring number at 0.93 per minute. The third highest knockdown number at 0.43. I mean, these numbers are crazy. Then you look over here, Philip Rowe, better striking points per minute, right there with knockdowns. But I mean, the knockdowns against per minute are crazy here. Philip Rowe showing he can get taken down and controlled. And I honestly think if Witt can hide his chin long enough to get Rowe down, Rowe's going to be in trouble here. That's just how I see it. Jason Witt giving up off the charts bonus points, and both his losses have been quick win finishes. 115 points average for his opponents when they win. My goodness. I mean, he's scoring all these 41 grappling points per win, 50 bonus points. I mean, that's 90 points right there. Boom. He can take Philip Rowe down, who gives up 23 points grappling per loss and 52 striking points. Oof. My goodness. This is an all or nothing fight right here. Strength of schedule, not great for Jason Witt, under 70 in most categories. But look over here at Philip Rowe, under 50 in opponent win percentage. I mean, his opponent's last 5 have a losing record. Strength of schedule is terrible. Strength of victory is garbage. Strength of defeat is okay. I just like everything I see from Jason Witt here more than Philip Rowe, and except for the chin. The chin is really the wild card here. Here are those last 5. I mean, if you're going on patterns, both these guys lose. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, double knockout. What do you say? Can I bet that? Jason Witt outscoring his opponents, trending up. While he does it, very good. What is going on here? Oh, Semmelsberger just went off on him. Okay. Phil Rowe, way below his opponents, while he is trending up, but his opponents are also trending up a bit steeper. Here are my projections, guys. Pretty much the highest projections on the card, especially for a welterweight fight. I mean, I'm thinking this one right here, maybe this one right here, but it could also be this one. So that's really your call. I'm personally leaning Jason Witt, but like I said, I'm rostering both these guys. Here are the visual statistical recap for the fight. Rowe, finish win percent, and bonus points way more extended than Witt here, but Witt kind of better all around, especially with the grappling points. Huge right there. I'm not going to say better all around, but he's got a big chunk that is related to his grappling points per win. I do think this one finishes inside the distance, as I've said a few times. If it doesn't, it's going to be a freaking miracle. And they're going to score like 65 points. Watch, it's going to be terrible. Next fight, Marc-Andre Barriault going against Njokuani. Probably butchered that. Try to speed this up a bit. Middleweight fight. Marc-Andre Barriault coming in 8,200. A little bit more than his average salary. He has an okay value of 7. He's getting outscored per minute raw DraftKings points. He does put up 106.07 when he wins. Very good number. And he only gives up 85 when he loses. He has the highest ceiling on the card and an average floor at 23. Probability to make the optimal. What do we got here? Middleweights make the optimal at 54.7% of the time. The fight order is not good. $8,200 for being a favorite salary. You know, over 8,000. Only wins 46% of the time. Chidi, $8,000. This is his first fight. It says he has one, but that is just his Dana White Contender Series fight, so that information is in here. If we counted DraftKings points in those fights, he would have smashed. He would have scored 112.87 points in his fight, 5.86 raw DraftKings points per minute. That is the highest on the card, only giving up 1.18 for a crazy over 4.5 differential. I mean, that's insane. $8,000 salary wins 50% of the time, so a 4% higher win rate than the $8,200 salary. I'm definitely going to have Chidi here. Probably not a ton of Marc-Andre Barriault, even though this 106 points per win is definitely intriguing going up against a Dana White Contender Series fighter. Barriault scored 132 when he got a knockout, 80 when he got a decision. Let's see what else is jumping out to me here. Chidi scoring very well in his one fight that didn't actually count as scoring. He has shown that he has been taken down though, and but he does have a ton of control time over that first fight. Marc-Andre definitely not showing a ton of takedown points per minute or control time, mostly a striking strike pointer. Is that a thing? Did I just make that up? Whatever. Average DraftKings points per win and type. I mean, Marc-Andre, 46 points of striking when he wins, 37.5 bonus points. His opponents aren't really scoring very well on him, 85. And then Chidi did finish that one early. And he's got, very even striking to grappling points here. And they're pretty high, 35 and 32. Do like to see that. Here are the stats. Chidi only the one fight. Marc-Andre has 6 fights worth of stats that we can go under here. None of them are looking very good. I mean, the volume landed per minute is the highest on the card. I'll give him that. Differential of almost 0.9 strikes per minute. Takedown defense is pretty good. So we've got some okay stats here. But he does get out controlled, it looks like. Yeah. Definitely gets out controlled with a 0.62 grappling ratio. Strength of schedule is pretty good, however. Well over 75 in every category, except that strength of defeat, which is just under. But his opponent's win percentage, 77%. Very good. Chidi has a very good strength of schedule for guys coming off a Dana White Contender Series fight. That is for sure in the 70s. Not expecting that from newcomers to the UFC. Last 5 fights, I mean, the takedowns have gone, been pretty low for Barriault. Control time is negative as well, but his striking differential is positive, and a positive ass whoop index, power index, and a perfectly zero chindex, which you do like to see. He's coming off of 2 wins over Dalcha and Abu Azatar. No contest over Pichota. Lost to Park and Jotko. So, yeah, I don't know. This is a good matchup. Give Barriault somebody new coming in. And Chidi, see how he does. Raw DraftKings points per minute. He is Barriault above his opponents currently. Actually, no, below his opponents. While he is trending up, though. Looking good. And then my projections for this fight. Let's see. I think this one goes the distance. And I believe I'm leaning Chidi here. Excited to see what this guy can do against Power Bar. So I'm thinking this one goes to decision. But I will have Chidi rostered at least, and maybe a little Barriault, but definitely more Chidi for sure. Visual recap and aggregate career finish percentages. Huge for Chidi, huge real estate, but again, he only has that one fight, and it was a DWCS fight. There are the finishing percentages, percent in wins and losses, pretty high. When you get to the UFC, never been finished in the UFC has Barriault, so that is one of the main reasons I'm thinking this one goes to decision. Next fight, Hakeem Dawodu going against Michael Trizano, featherweight fight. Let's see, $8,500 for Hakeem. That is right under his average salary of $86.14. His average value, not so good, 6.27. Scoring 70 points per win, and that's in 5 wins. That's it, 70 points. When he loses, gives up a shitload of points, 132 per loss. That is over 2 losses. Has a very low ceiling, very low floor. The probabilities to make the optimal are decent. But guys, these two, this one's going to be an exciting fight, but it's going to be very low scoring, I think. I mean, anything could happen in this very fight. I just don't, these numbers, as we'll get into, 7,700 for Trizano, 300 more than his average salary. That average value is a bit better than Dawodu, not too much. Also getting outpointed by a half a point per minute, 63.5 points when he wins. That is 3 wins. This is what I mean. 70 points per win, 63 points per win. What are we expecting here? But both guys give up over 100 points per loss. 104 for Trizano in his one loss. Like we said, 132 for Hakeem. So very low ceilings, not even great floors for cash. I don't know what to do with these two guys. I mean, if one of them wins, are we going to see the 70 points per win, or are we going to see the 100 and some points per loss? Like, what are we going to see here? Dawodu scoring 91 when he won by a TKO, giving up ton. When he loses by decision, 138 points. My goodness. That was only one fight, but still. You give up 138 in a decision. Oh, you get taken down a ton, apparently. Knocked down as well. But he is outpointing his opponents in striking. Same with Trizano. Trizano gets taken down a ton, controlled a ton. Both things that Hakeem does not do. Average DraftKings points per win and type. I mean, lots of bonus point. Like we said, when they lose big. But when they win, decision wins. So that's going to be on you to decide that one. I personally think this one goes the distance, but like we said, Hakeem gave up 132 points when he lost by decision. So how do you even cap that for DraftKings? Here are some relevant fight statistics. Well, both middle of the road kind of guys. If we look at the actual stat matchup in their weight class, they are way down. I mean, nobody's doing much of anything in the weight class as far as stats for these guys. Strength of schedule, on the other hand, very, very good. Look at this. Hakeem might have the best strength of schedule on the card. 77.8, 80% win percentage for his opponents. 100 strength of victory, meaning the guys he's lost to, Movsar Evloev, does not have any losses on his record, or in his last 5. Trizano, again, these are all red, but these are very, very good numbers. 78% win percentage for his opponents. 74 strength of schedule. 94 strength of defeat. I mean, last 5, 3-1 for Trizano, 4-1 for Hakeem. Hakeem pretty much performing better everywhere as far as those last 5 fights go. But neither guy has been knocked down in the last 5. Trizano with a huge upset win over Klein, lost to Dawson, and then 2 more upset wins over Giannotti and extra violent Bob Ross. Dawodu with several favorite wins, and then the one win he was a dog in against Evloev, he got smashed. -30 ass whoop index there. So Hakeem Dawodu looks like he is just below his opponents, while his opponents trend up, and he is trending down raw DraftKings points per minute. The other side, same type deal. Trizano below his opponents, while his opponents trend way up. He is also trending up, just not as quick. Quick. Projections very low, as I said. I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna have Trizano rostered for sure. I really like the what didn't we talk about? The $7,700 price point is actually low. One of the sneakier salary picks. I won't get too much into it, but it does win 50% of the time, and so does the 85. I mean, so this is a coin flip fight, according to win percentages since 2021. Coin flip. Fight order, weight class probability. So $7,700, long story short, is a great salary to get in on. I will have both these guys rostered. Not crazy on either one. I am going to have more Trizano than Hakeem. Mostly because of that salary voodoo that I'm not going to get into in this episode, but I'm heavy into salary voodoo right now. So if you don't know what that is, just kind of check out my Twitter for the past week. It's all crazy salary stats and nonsense. So I got candles lit. I got fucking everything going on over here. We'll figure it out together. Miles Johns, John Castaneda. Let's see here. Bantamweight fight. Miles Johns, $8,900. I do not like that price. His average salary, $8,600. So he is more expensive than his average salary. 6.8 value, not great. I mean, you get 2.56 raw DraftKings points per minute. He only gives up 1.58, so his defense is good, but he's not scoring. 77.42 points per UFC win, and that is 3 wins. He's given up 87 in his 1 loss. He's got a very low ceiling and a very low floor. This is another one. Like, what do you even do with this guy? And why is he $8,900? John Castaneda on the other side, $7,300, $200 cheaper than his average. His value over 2 UFC fights, 9.46, pretty good. He has a big-time negative raw DraftKings points per minute differential at -1.02, but he scored 117 points in his win, only gave up 90 in his loss. So again, what do you do with something like this? Miles, the $8,900 salary, 65% win percentage, $7,300 is 26% win percentage, so you have some room to play around there. But my goodness, I mean, you're paying $8,900 for a guy that's going to average you 77 DraftKings points? That's a tough look, man. Tough look. Never has he scored over 90. Castaneda, obviously, his 117 point affair that he had. But he's outscoring John's DraftKings points on the feet. Knockdowns. I mean, not takedowns and not control time, but that's not much to speak of for Miles Johns here. But nobody really does anything against Miles Johns. That's the thing. So these are low scoring, like, decision affairs, basically, just like the last one. But the difference is John Castaneda is not Michael Trizano, and he will score 117 points if he feels like it and get that first round knockout. Not something that Trizano generally scores in his fights. Not that I'm directly trying to compare the two, but kind of you can when you're talking about DraftKings. And yeah, look, I mean, Miles John scores a lot of striking, hardly anything in grappling, but just does not get a finish. He gets finished in his fight. Second round, it looks like. Here are some basic stats, relevant fight stats. I mean, he's got the best striking defense on the card, does Johns. Huge, significant strike differential. Amazing takedown defense at over 90%. He's only controlling 40% of the grappling time. Meanwhile, Castaneda, I mean, lands 4 point. He gets hit with 7.5 strikes a minute. Now, Miles Johns is not a huge volume guy, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But only a 50% takedown defense. Johns only with 11% takedown accuracy. Neither of these guys both these guys get out controlled, I should say. Strength of schedule is pretty much even, right around 70, a little bit less for Castaneda. 1-1 in the UFC for him, 3-1 for Johns with the loss to Mario Batista. But look at 87, 81, 63. Like, you're paying $8,900 for that. I mean, look at that. You paid $8,600 for 63 points, $8,400 for 81, $8,900 for 87 points. That's not going to do it this week. Just not. So, oops, I didn't finish. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to play both these guys. I'll probably have more Castaneda than Johns, honestly. And I'm not going to have a lot of either one. But Johns is going to have to show me something that he can do over 90 points before we pay $8,900 for him. Here are my projections. Very low, as we talked about. Castaneda in his win. I mean, look at that, in his one win. And then the aggregate finish percentages right here. Yeah, I think this one finishes inside the distance. Computer Monk is picking Miles Johns to win inside the distance. That pretty much goes against everything I just said. Even if he wins inside the distance, like what has he been scoring? 84 in a knockout win. That's it. So even if he does get that finish win, maybe it's the second or even third round. Is he going to have a lot of points to even put up by then? It's basically first round or bust, I think. Julian Erosa going against Steven Peterson. Let's see. Also picking this one to finish inside the distance. Flyweight fight. Again, this is crazy. $9,200 for Julian Erosa, who's coming in almost $2,000. We'll say $1,900 more than his average salary. Red flag. 7.36 value. Gets outworked. 1.19 raw DraftKings points per minute differential. Red flag. Scores 104 when he wins in 4 wins. Gives up 104, almost 105 when he loses in 5 losses. 5 losses. Pretty good ceiling, very low floor. Salary wins 69% of the time. That seems pretty low for the third highest salary. Only get a 70%, less than 70% win rate. Steven Peterson, $7,000 salary, coming in $600 cheaper than his average. He has a positive raw DraftKings points per minute differential, a big value of 8.93, 6th best on the card. Only scores 91 when he wins, but only gives up 74 when he loses. Not a great ceiling, second highest floor on the card, and this is 3. He is 3-3, so he's got 3 losses and 3 wins to get these stats from. $7,000 salary wins 29% of the time, so we've got some room there. Compared to the 70%. Let's see here. I mean, I like Steven Peterson in this one, guys. And I don't have this as a stat, I mean, on this sheet, but Julian Erosa has been knocked down 6 times in the UFC. 6 freaking times. Let's scroll down. Let's see. Knockdowns against. 1 against Jourdain. 1 against Choi. 1 against Woodson. 1 against Arce. I mean, this guy gets knocked down. Peterson's only knocked down Bravo in his fights in the UFC so far, or his last 5, I should say. Anyways, Erosa, when he does win by knockout, 131.4, 102 when he wins by sub. Gives up 100 when he gets knocked out, 106 in his decisions. I mean, Steven Peterson's right there at 100 points per knockdown. Average points for decision wins, very high for split decision. Both of these guys, actually. Erosa has scored 70 or over 90 in 75% of his fights, 3 of 4. He scored over 100 in 3 of 4 and over 110 just once. He's given up 94 out of 5 times in his losses. 3 out of 5 over 100 and 1 out of 5 over 110. Meanwhile, Peterson never given up even 90 points. Look at this here. Julian Erosa, opponent knockdown points per minute, 0.79. That is a huge number. That's my point. How do you give a guy with that kind of chin a $9,200 salary? Steven Peterson's been finished once in his career by knockout, once out of 9 losses. So I'm not really expecting him to get, put down here. But he's going against a guy with a glass jaw. This Peterson's $7,000. I'm going to have a lot of Peterson this week. Like more, I'll be overexposed more than the field. I guarantee it. Erosa, when he wins, does score decently, 58 bonus points. When he loses, 70. Peterson, when he loses, only gives up 30 bonus points. So those are decision losses. Overall rank, don't care about that. Look at these stats, though. Much better, especially the defensive side of things for Steven Peterson. I mean, he's not landing as much volume, but everywhere else he's better statistically than Julian Erosa. 3-2 in his last 5 is Peterson. Erosa is 4-1. So even though that's not right, 4-1. How are you getting that? He must have taken a break. Ignore that. He is 3-2 in his last 5 in the UFC. Strength of schedule is pretty good for both guys, but better for Erosa. That's going to bother me. 4-1. Did he fight somewhere outside of the UFC? Doesn't even look like he had a chance to do that. Weird. Anyways, losses to Arce and Choi, so that's no joke there. But look at this. KO, sub, KO, KO, sub. Decision, KO. I mean, so got a decision fighter going against a guy that doesn't even know how to spell decision. Not just I didn't mean to say you're stupid, Julian Erosa. Don't hit me, okay? I'm just trying to say things differently because I say the same shit every fucking week. Erosa, way below his opponents as far as scoring, and his opponents are trending up. Peterson, same thing, or he's actually above his opponents while he is actually trending down, and his opponent's trending up. So he should stop that. And here are my projections. I am projecting this one, or I should say Computer Monk is picking. See, this is why I don't like Computer Monk sometimes. Julian Erosa inside the distance? That can't be right. No, it's not right. It's picking Steven Peterson. I know it is. Picking Steven Peterson inside the distance. Here are some aggregate career and finish percentages and a visual statistical recap. Look at this for Erosa. Much higher finish win percent, DraftKings per win, and bonus points. I mean, he's pretty much got this whole graph, actually. And then the inside the distance or finishing percentages here. Much higher than 50% as far as finish wins. Right below at finish losses. So I am picking this one to finish inside the distance, but just barely. Next fight, Brian Battle. We got 5 left, and we're at 43 minutes. I'll try to speed this up. 5 left? Yeah. Brian Battle going against Trizano Gore. This fight was supposed to happen, the tough finale, but Gore got injured, I believe. So now we're doing this again, or when it should have been done the first time. I don't know what to think about Gore. I didn't watch any tape on him yet. I mean, I've watched a little bit. It was not the tough fights. Excuse me. He's got 3 professional fights, no Dana White Contender Series fights. Brian Battle, 1-0 in the UFC, coming in $7,900, $700 cheaper than his average salary. He has the best average. That's only 1 fight though, 11.33 value. So take all these stats with a grain of salt. Only 1 fight. Did get outworked badly by his negative 1.23 raw DraftKings points per minute. Scored 97 points when he won. Trizano Gore, I'm not going to have anything on him except strength of schedule. His salary, these salaries split the wins 50-50. So another coin flip fight here. Battle did get that win via submission. This one's going to go quick. Over 90 points for Battle. Let's see. He got taken down and controlled very easily, so keep that in mind. And he got outstruck too, according to DraftKings points. But he did secure that second round submission win for 70 bonus points there. I mean, huge volume, but also huge volume against. Only, I mean, you land 6.34 strikes per minute, and your differential's only 0.14. That means you're getting hit big time as well. Look at these strength of schedules: 50, 56, and 50. This is terrible. 10 and 10 opponent pro record, right? Look over here at Trizano Gore, 14.29% opponent win rate. His opponents in his 3 fights are combined 1 and 6. What are we doing here? 1 and 6? So I have no idea. That's a long way of saying I have no idea what's going to happen in this fight. As of now, I'm picking Bryan Battle to win inside the distance. Or Computer Monks. When I say I'm not making any picks this year. Computer Monk is making all the picks and telling me if they're going to finish inside the distance. So it is picking Battle. It is picking Battle inside the distance. I'm going to have Battle rostered. I'll probably have some Gore rostered too, just because I don't know what to expect from him. I just don't know. It's hard for me to even give any DraftKings stuff on Gore. He has 3 professional fights. It's like trying to break down Pete Rodriguez last week. Like, it's impossible. And he's not. And Gore's not fighting Jack Della this week. You know, he's fighting Bryan Battle. It's a very different kind of fighter. Phil Hawes going against Sam Alvey, middleweight fight. That's right, Sam Alvey still on the roster, still signing fight contracts. 10 with a 10 11 and 1 record. Very cool. Super cool. Phil Hawes 9,300 coming in, what is that? $650 more than his average salary, so red flag. 9.78 value, third highest on the card. Scores a ton of points, 4.7 per minute, only gives up 2.2 for the best differential on the card at 2.5 RDKP per minute. That is impressive. 106 DraftKings points per win. He gives up 108 in his 1 loss, though. Decent ceiling, decent floor. Here's where we get it. Weight class probability, 55%. Fight order, what are we, the 10th fight? This is the best fight. 68.29%. The winner of this fight makes the optimal lineup. Winning salary, 62% of the time is $9,300. I mean, I like Phil Hawes here. The only issue is, and this easily could be a meme type fight, but Sam Alvey, I'm not counting him out. I'm not. Look at this Chindex from Phil Hawes, 0.94. Terrible. Sam Alvey's isn't much better, but he's got a power index right here of 0.96. Now, he is $6,900, the 2nd cheapest fighter on the card. I can't believe I'm even saying this. He is $1,200 cheaper than his average salary, almost $1,250. I mean, why are we giving Sam Alvey an $8,000 salary ever? Holy crap. Gets outworked by by 0.29 points per minute. He only scores 87 points when he wins, only gives up 76, 77 when he loses, but he has a terrible floor, so he's not even good for cash. I mean, at least with Phil Hawes, we have this huge price, but we have value, work rate, winning, points per win. We have all that going in our favor as far as Phil Hawes. We have none of that for Sam Alvey, except for the fact he is $6,900. 127 per win for Phil Hawes when he gets a knockout, 95 per decision, 96 per split decision. All right, so Phil Hawes is scoring. He's out here scoring. I mean, 100% of his wins over 90, 1 of 3 over 100, 1 of 3 over 110. He has given up 110 in his only loss, though. Sam Alvey scoring over 90 in 6 fights, over 100 in 4, and over 110 in 3. He's given up a few points as well. 36% more over 90, and 27% of his fights over 100. There's never allowed over 110 though, so that is something. But he's getting outpointed pretty much everywhere except for these knockdown points and reversals. Phil Hawes, same thing. I mean, knockdowns were tied as far as him versus his opponents, and he is getting reversed as well. My thing is with this fight, I think Phil Hawes is going to crush it. Computer Monk thinks Phil Hawes is going to win by decision. The longer this goes, the more of a chance Sam Alvey has to find Phil Hawes' suspect chin. And if there's one thing Sam Alvey can do throughout the fight, It is stand there, back up, take shots, and just throw a crazy right hand every like 45 seconds. That's one thing that Sam Alvey can do. And if that right hand connects with Phil Hawes in the third round, second round, and he's tired and his mouth is open and his chin is up in the air, that's a problem. That is a problem. Look at this. Phil Hawes in his one loss. 90 points of bonus points given up. That was a first round loss. Statistically, he looks fantastic. He's got a huge grappling time ratio, controlling the grappling time for majority of it. I mean, not getting controlled. He's outlanding his opponents, outworked perfect takedown defense. Then you have Sam Alvey over here. But I'm telling you, I'm going to have a lot of Phil Hawes here. A decent amount, not a lot. I will be overexposed to Sam Alvey compared to the field. I will be a bit overexposed. Look at this. Here's an error that I've never gotten, so I've never fixed it. Everything else I have error trapped, but this one, strength of victory, I didn't expect a UFC fighter to not have won a fight in his past 5 fights, so I did not put any error trapping there. But here we are, Sam Alvey, letting me know. He's helping me debug my shit. I do appreciate it, Sam. Phil Hawes, fantastic strength of schedule. Same with Sam Alvey, though. I mean, look at these strength of schedules. Except for that strength of victory, which is non-existent. And then the last 5. I mean, come on. Other than the chin, if this was half, I mean, Phil Hawes killing it. But Chris Curtis blasted him. Wins over Malkoun, Imavov, and Kyle Dawkins. So he can go to decision and get a decision win and score well doing it. Control time is vital for Phil Hawes if he's going to decision. Projections. Like I said, Phil Hawes by decision. I'm leaning some of this. I will have some Sam Alvey, though. Like I said, maybe somewhere like that. Somewhere like that. A couple percentages of Sam Alvey on my roster for sure. This is a very weird graph from Sam Alvey. No strength of victory in its last 5. I've never seen a graph that looks like this. Sorry, I'm just kind of admiring it. Admiring the absurdity of it all. And then the last, or the aggregate career finish percentages. I do think this one goes the distance, like I said, and I will be choosing Phil Hawes. Who can spell like me? Nobody. I bring this up every week. Put me on the fucking spelling bee. Do it. Send me an invite. I'm waiting. So, I mean, come on now. Come on now. I deserve to be recognized for my ability to spell random UFC fighters from other countries than the one that I currently reside in. Come on, guys. Welterweight fight. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Carlston Harris. I think this fight is much closer than the odds and the salaries would lead you to believe. 9,000 for Rakhmonov. Now, I did promise myself after his last fight, I would never again pick against a guy who walked out with the Kazakhstani flag and an animal that size on his head. Never again would I do it. Computer Monk's picking Carlston Harris in this one. I don't know how I feel about it. Let's just say I will have both of these fighters heavy. I'm going to have heavy both of these fighters on DraftKings. 9,000 for Rakhmonov, 6,000 more than his average salary. Huge value. Big raw DraftKings points per minute. And not big, but a huge differential of 1.72. Just under 100 points when he wins in his 2 wins. And no losses here. Winning salary probability 62% for the $9,000 salary, which is a perfect match for the 38% for Carlston Harris at $7,200. That is $750 lower than his average salary. He has a 1 point better value than Rakhmonov. Both of these guys are 2-0 in the UFC, so 4.36 raw DraftKings points per minute. Only gave up 0.83. That is the biggest raw DraftKings differential I've seen in a while of 3.53. He has doubled Shavkat's differential, scoring 102 points per win. I mean, I really like both sides of this fight for DraftKings a lot. I think Computer Monk is actually picking Carlston Harris to win by like 53-47. And he's picking him to do it by decision. So this one is, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this fight. I'm going to have a bunch of both of these fighters here. They both score very well. for the most part. I mean, and their defense is just killer. That's really what I want to see. This is who's going to be able to get off on the other one, because both of these guys are stiflers. Stiflers. I mean, Harris 2.15 striking points per minute, only giving up 0.65. 2.2 for Rakhmonov, only giving up 1.06. I mean, so we're not getting any knockdowns from Rakhmonov, but look, Carlston Harris, oof, that's scary. 1.82 knockdown points per minute. I mean, and then Rakhmonov with the takedown and control time numbers. I'm excited for this one. And this isn't like, you've seen the picture of Rakhmonov going against his last opponent. His opponent's like, he's looking down at him like fucking Jack and the Beanstalk. These guys are even. They're both 6 feet, or I think Rakhmonov's 6'1". Harris might be 6 foot tall. So they are much more closely matched physically than Shavkat's last fight. Shavkat, 80 points of bonus points per win. Harris, 2 first-round wins, 90 points. Here's some basic stats for these guys. No rankings because they only have 2 fights. But I mean, 5.27 significant strikes landed per minute. He's got a 4 differential of volume. That is absolutely insane. Strength of schedule is going to Rakhmonov. I mean, he's got a killer strength of schedule. He was fighting killers outside of the UFC before he got pulled. Harris, a little below 70, so you never want to see that, but it's still not terrible. It's not good, though. Harris with wins over Castaneda and Christian Aguilera. Rakhmonov with wins over Brazeras, second-round sub, and a first-round win over Cowboy Oliveira. Subbed Cowboy in the first round. Wow. Way over his opponents is Shavkat and trending way up. Same thing with Carlston Harris. It's not even close. Like I said, I think Computer Monk likes this decision win, but I seriously if you want to bet it. I would personally just enjoy this one. I really don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, with bias, I'm leaning Shavkat because of the flag and the hat and how he's looked in his past 2, but Carlston Harris is no joke. No joke. So like I said, I'm going to have several percentage points of these guys in my lineups, and then I'm going to sit back and watch the fight. Look at these graphs, almost identical. Oh my goodness. Almost completely identical. Here's the thing. Tons of finishes and wins. They don't get finished, though. They just don't get finished. Carlston's been finished once, I believe. Yeah, once by knockout. It was a while back. I don't know exactly when. So this is going to be my fight of the night, I think. Shavkat and Carlston here. It's going to be crazy. Don't miss it. Co-main event of the evening, guys. We're under an hour, and we got 2 fights left. Punahele Soriano going against Nick Maximov. Let's see. Southpaw versus Southpaw. Middleweight fight. Spoiler alert. Punahele Soriano is my favorite play of the week. Favorite play of the week. I'm not trying to hate on Nick Maximov. He only has 1 career UFC fight, and he looked pretty good in that one. But this is more about voodoo, salary voodoo, and what Punahele Soriano, his stats are. So let's get into it. Puna has the highest power index on the card. 3.28, never been knocked down. Highest ass whoop index on the card. 4.25 raw DraftKings points per minute, giving him a differential of 1.83. So he's outworking his opponents. It's not even close. Sorry, I don't know what is going on. I have like too much air. I think I just took too big of a breath. 125 points per win, and that is only over 2 wins. He has only given up 67 points in his loss, and I believe that was to Brendan Allen last time out. Weight class probability for middleweight, first, 55%, just under. The fight order, not great. The 12th fight of the night, usually, 46%. But the winning salary probability, 76.74% for $8,600 fight. Also, I think when it wins, it makes the optimal like 82% of the time. I don't know. It's something crazy. I think we're getting tremendous value on Punahele, who's coming in just $300 over his average salary. So that's fantastic. We get the highest value on the card at 11.2, the highest DKP per win. I absolutely love Punahele Soriano here. That said, I will have some of Maximov as well. The salary probability, not good for $7,600 though. It is 3-1. And you're winning 25% of these fights. Are you going to, Nick's going to have to just take down Punahele like over and over and over and over again, which is within the realm of possibility. So I will have some Maximov, mostly for the takedown you know, Maximov could be good in cash here, even if Soriano wins. If Soriano gets taken down 3-4 times, you know, Maximov could rack up a decent amount of points here. So let's keep that in mind. Maximov, $400 cheaper than his first fight, average value of 12, so he performed very well. Like I said, a DraftKings points differential per minute of over 3. He did score 96 in his win. So, I'm not, you know, I really like Soriano here. I like Maximov as well. I just wish he wasn't fighting Soriano. Because that just brings me down on him. I will have some Maximov, but Soriano is going to be my highest play of the week. If he comes out and gets taken down and gassed out, and well then, you know, I guess I'll learn my lesson. But as of now, Soriano's my highest play of the week. The stats are all there. I mean, he's scoring over 110 in each win. Maximov scored over 90. He didn't score 100. Puna with these points, I mean, he did get outstruck last time, so that's why this number is a bit more than it was before last fight. But the knockdowns per points per minute, takedown points per minute, you know, he's not getting taken down. He's not getting controlled. He is getting reversed. This is the guy that could be taking him down and could be controlling him. Look at these numbers here. 1.33 takedown points per minute for Maximov. 1.12 control time points per minute for Maximov. You know, over a half a reversal point per minute. That's scary. That is definitely scary. So after looking at these stats, I will have a bit more of Maximov than I originally thought. Puna, when he wins, first round knockouts, baby. Maximov, 49 points grappling in his decision win. That is quite a few. Quite a few. Here are the stats for these guys. Grappling ratio for Puna so far is a 6.05. That's 6 times more than their opponent. Nick Maximov, 4.88. So these have to be the two highest pretty much on the card. This does say 3, so I realize I might be wrong with that. Puna, 85% grappling time controlled, but only spent 11% of his time fighting inside the distance. Meanwhile, Maximov has spent 75% of his time fighting inside the distance in his first fight. So the question is, will Maximov be able to take Soriano down and control him and win minutes that way? If you think that's going to happen, I would pick Maximov by decision. If you don't, then I mean, I'm still all over Soriano here. Here's the issue. Soriano with a pretty good strength of schedule, over 70 in every category. Nick Maximov, 50. His opponent's professional record is 19-19, so he hasn't fought anyone. I mean, he fought Cody Brundage and took him down 4 times. So, can he take down Puna Soriano? We are going to see. That's really the question of this fight. Because I don't think Nick Maximov is not Brendan Allen on the feet. He's not outstriking Soriano at all. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm leaning this, or Computer Monk is telling me to lean this, 90%. Puna by decision. But if you think Maximov's going to take him down, I mean, he's going to score okay for cash especially. So I like those takedown options for cash. Here are the graphs. As far as real estate for aggregate, or for DraftKings visual statistical recap, much better for Soriano. Finish win, points per win, bonus points per win, huge grappling points for Maximov. However, that is crazy. I think it was 40, almost 50. And then the aggregate career finishing percentages. Lots of finishes and wins. Neither guy has ever been finished in a loss. Only one loss between them. So there you go, guys. We did it. Last fight of the night. Sean Strickland going against Jack Hermansson. Middleweight fight, 5-rounder. Guys, you got to play your 5-rounders. At least one 5-round fight makes the optimal lineup 73% of the time since January 2021. You got to boost up those exposures, especially for Sean Strickland, I think, in this case. But if you're on the Hermansson side, boost him up as well. One of these guys, like I said, 73% of the time, so just under 3 out of 4 times, these guys make the optimal lineup. So Strickland, $8,800. He's coming in about $350 over his average salary. What do you get for that? The 5th highest value on the card at 9, not bad. 3.24 points per minute with a big positive differential of 1.16. Only scoring 93.49 points per win, but giving up less than 90 when he loses. So a decent ceiling, not a great floor though for Sean Strickland. The weight class has a very good probability to make the optimal lineup. 13th fight of the night. One of these guys makes it 60, almost 65% of the time. And then the salary, $8,800 salary, wins 72.5% of the time. And Computer Monk also likes Sean Strickland to win this fight. Jack Hermansson, $7,400, coming in $1,100, $1,150 cheaper than his average salary. So if you like Jack Hermansson here, now's the time. Now's the fucking time, like Oren Ishii says, or Oren Ishii rather, to roster him. So you're never going to get Jack Hermansson this cheap again, probably. I mean, this is crazy. 3.5, he gives you an average value of 9.4, better than her Strickland. 3.57 points per minute, more than Strickland. Has a higher raw DraftKings points differential over Strickland. Scores more points per win than Strickland. Gives up way more points when he loses. Has a higher ceiling, but a lower floor. So, I mean, this is a huge price gap for, I mean, what I think is going to be I think Sean Strickland, I don't want to say makes it look easy because that's disrespectful. But I think Jack Hermansson had a very tough time with Marvin Vettori, and I think this is going to be a lot of the same thing. If Jack Hermansson cannot take Sean Strickland down, he's going to be in for a long, long night. Just getting jabbed, and 1-2 combinations are just going to break him down. Sean's got decent footwork as well, so I mean, everybody says he just stands there with his head up, but as we'll see, he's outstriking his opponents by almost 3/4 of a point per minute. Like, he's not getting hit that much. Where are the actual stats? Yeah, so he lands 5.45 significant strikes per minute. And he gets hit with 3.73, so he's got a crazy high differential. So he does have some striking defense. I mean, he has the second best striking defense on the entire card at 67%. So, I mean, when he wins by knockout, 113 points, 108 when he wins by sub, 92 when he wins by decision. That is huge. Jack Hermansson scoring 102 when he wins by knockout, 111 when he wins by sub, and 105 when he wins by decision. My goodness. So both of these guys have 5 rounds to get in all of this scoring. This is what I meant at the beginning when I say you have to boost your ownership, your exposure to both of these guys. You have to. No matter who you think's going to win, put it up by 5, 8% at least. At least. Strickland, 55% of his wins over 90, 45 over 100, and 18 over 110. So he is very consistent. Not always scoring on the highest end, but very, very consistent. He's only given up over 100, let's see, 2 out of 3 losses. Hermansson scoring over 90 in 7 of 9 wins, over 105, over 110 rather, in 5 of 9 wins. And he's given up over 110 in 2 of 4 wins. So these guys are giving up tons of points, especially Jack, scoring tons of points and giving up tons of points as well. If Sean Strickland's just going to stand there and hit you, that's just going to add up over 5 rounds. Now on the other side, if Jack Hermansson can do some of this, takedown points per minute, control time points per minute, work some strikes in there, he's also going to win minutes. So we have a possibility of both of these guys becoming minute winners in this fight. I just happen to think Sean Strickland's going to win more of those minutes and will be able to stick to his game plan a little bit easier. Now, if I'm wrong, that means Hermansson's going to land tons of takedowns and just bank control time while getting in elbows and stuff while on top. So he's also going to stack points up there. I really don't think you can go wrong, like I said, with either of these guys on your roster and boosting them up 5, 8, 10%. Don't go crazy with it. 5, 8, 10% boost for these guys for being in a 5-round main event. I think that is completely acceptable, and I also recommend it. So yeah, 82% takedown defense for Strickland. I know most of those came when he was a welterweight, so we'll see how he does against a guy that lands over 2 takedowns per 15 minutes at a 36% accuracy. Strength of schedule, very even, but it's going to have to go to Jack Hermansson, although Sean Strickland has no defeats in his last 5. But the strengths of schedule are pretty even. Last 5 fight history and stats, much better. I put out a post, find it on Twitter, @MonkMaddox. Give me a follow, baby. I just put it out, the last 5 fight statistics for both of these guys, and it's all Sean Strickland. I mean, it is basically all Sean Strickland except that takedown number. Even the control time differential, look at that. 13% for Strickland over his last 5, 8.7 for Hermansson over his last 5. Huge raw DraftKings points per minute differential for Strickland at 2.38. Not been knocked down at all in his past 5. Jack Hermansson 0.62 Chindex, so he has been knocked down. Strickland wins over Hall, Jotko, Allen, Marshman, Taleb, and these haven't even been. I mean, he smoked Uriah Hall. This was his 5-round fight. Decision. Sean Strickland put up 144 points. This is what I meant. Boost him up by 5-10%. I mean, Sean Strickland can score, and so can Hermansson. 5-round decision. Look at this. He beat Jacare in a 5-round decision. Scored 138. Boost these guys up in your lineups for real. And if you think Jack Hermansson has the edge, I mean, he's 74. You got to play him. You got to boost him up even higher if you think he's going to win. I personally don't, but if you're on that side, and which is a totally acceptable thing, that's not crazy to think that Hermansson would win or anything. Boost him up. Here are the DraftKings points per minute graphs. Very even keel for Sean Strickland, and he is way above his opponents. Same thing for, wow, these are two very interesting graphs. Same thing for Jack Hermansson, way above his opponents. Each one is just trending pretty much, just staying right on course. That's crazy. Sean Strickland, 99 points. Actually, no, I'm picking this one inside, not me, sorry. Computer Monk is picking Sean Strickland inside the distance. So something like this, round 4, round 5, I imagine. But it's thinking Jack Hermansson, some really good projections as well. These guys' projections are basically identical. Which is interesting. Obviously, Sean Strickland scoring more points on striking. Jack Hermansson more of the takedown, ground game point scoring opportunities. So we have that there. Here are the DraftKings visual recaps and aggregate career finish percentages. Hermansson with a way better finishing graph over here. You want to be as far out on these, especially these three. You want to be as far out to the edges on these three as you can possibly get. Strickland with the win percentage and the distance striking points, which should come as no surprise to anyone. Then the inside the distance finishing percentages here. Most of these fights are getting finished inside the distance, wins and losses for both of these guys. So that's where Computer Monk's leaning, and I tend to agree. I at least like the Sean Strickland side. I don't know about the inside the distance part, but like I said, you gotta boost both of these up. Boost them. Main event fighters make the optimal lineup 73% of the time. Do it. Speaking of do it, we did it, guys. An hour and 12 minutes. Let's get the f out of here. Now you are equipped to build your lineups. You have all the information you need in all 13 fights. Hopefully we won't lose any of them. We still have a few days left, and they haven't put any prop odds on the Denis Bondar and Malcolm Gordon fight, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyways, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in and following me on my ramblings and my nonsense about stats and numbers for an hour and 12 minutes. It really means a lot. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this with anybody that you feel comfortable. Maybe share it with somebody that plays in different contests than you. How about that? So then you're not butting heads with each other. But yeah, now you can make your lineups and get all of that in, and it's Tuesday. You've got 4 days to do it. So check me out tomorrow. Wednesday, I will be on Pub Sports Radio breaking down all the fights from the DraftKings with the DraftKings boys, Brady, Wheezy, and Luke on Pub Sports Radio channel. I think that happens at 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 Eastern, so be sure to check that out. And guys, enjoy the fights this weekend, and I will see you next week. Peace out.